Glad you're here. If you are living on a Social Security check right now, or you will be soon, there is a date you need to know about, and almost nobody has told you. A report released on June 9th of this year, the 2026 Social Security Trustees Report, put a hard deadline on the single biggest cut your check has ever faced. Late 2032, less than 7 years from today. On that date, unless Congress acts, every Social Security check in the country drops to 78 cents on the dollar. That is a 22% cut. Not a freeze, not a smaller raise, an actual cut, written into the law for every recipient regardless of age. I am going to show you why that date exists. Why the tax break you got this year is quietly part of the reason it moved closer. And the one move you still have time to make before 2032 to keep that cut from sinking your retirement. Here is the part that matters. You cannot stop the cut by yourself, but you have a 6-year window to do something about what it does to you. And that window is open right now. On the average retirement check, a little over $2,000 a month, a 22% cut is about $450 gone every month for the rest of your life. Picture that in your own budget. For someone getting $1,900 a month, the cut is $418. That is roughly $5,000 a year. That is half a year of utility bills or a Medicare supplement plan and your prescriptions combined, simply gone by statute. And the SSA will not mail you a warning. They will change the number and expect you to already know. Before we go further, subscribe to this channel and turn on the bell. The rules around Social Security, Medicare, and the tax code change every single year. And when they change, no one sends you a personal letter explaining what it means for your money. Deadlines pass quietly, programs open and close. I read the actual reports and the actual statutes and put them in plain English, so you find out while you can still do something about it. The people who are subscribed stay ahead of this. The ones who aren't find out after. Start with the smaller problem, the one already happening to your check this year. In January, your benefit went up 2.8%. On the average check, that is about $56 more a month. Sounds like a raise, but that raise did not cover what it needed to. The cost of the things seniors actually buy, measured by the government's own price index, rose about 4.4% over the same stretch, the fastest in 3 years, driven by energy and food. To keep up with your own costs, you needed closer to $94, so your $56 raise met a $94 problem. On paper, your check got bigger. In real terms, you lost about $38 a month in what it can actually buy. And this did not start this year. Analysts who track senior costs estimate that Social Security has lost more than 20% of its buying power since the year 2000. One small gap at a time. That is why the check that covered your groceries and your gas a decade ago does not stretch the way it used to. That is the slow leak. The cliff is something else entirely. Your Social Security check is not paid out of thin air. It is paid out of a trust fund, money collected from payroll taxes over decades and held in reserve. For years, that reserve has been shrinking because more is going out to retirees than is coming in from workers. The reason is plain demographics. When the program started, there were many workers paying in for every retiree drawing out. Today, there are fewer workers behind each retiree. People are living longer, and the reserve has been quietly covering the difference. It cannot cover it forever. The 2026 Trustees Report did the math and set the date the reserve runs dry, the fourth quarter of 2032. After that, the program does not disappear. It can only pay out what is still coming in from current payroll taxes, and that incoming money covers about 78% of what is promised. So the law does something automatic. It cuts every check to match. 78 cents for every dollar you were scheduled to get. 22% gone the same day for everyone. Think about what that means at your kitchen table. If your check today is $2,000, in 2032, it becomes about $1,560. If it is $1,500, it becomes about $1,170. The same rent, the same prescriptions, the same grocery bill, paid out of a check that just shrank by almost a quarter. Now, you might be thinking they will never actually let that happen. Maybe you are right. Congress could raise the payroll cap, change the tax, or move the retirement age, and close the gap before 2032. But the law as written today does not say maybe. It says 78%. And you cannot build your retirement on the hope that a body that has known about this for 30 years suddenly acts in the next 6. You plan for the law that exists. Then you are pleasantly surprised if they fix it. Here is the part almost nobody connects. Why did that date move closer? Last year's report put the deadline in early 2033. This year it moved up to late 2032. Part of the reason is something that landed in your favor this spring. In 2025, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act gave seniors a break on the taxes you pay on your Social Security benefits. When you filed this year, that probably meant a little more money in your pocket. Real money, and it felt like good news. But the taxes that retirees pay on their benefits do not just vanish into the Treasury. A chunk of that money flows right back into the same Social Security Trust Fund. Cut those taxes, and you cut one of the streams refilling the fund. So the break that helped your tax bill this April is part of why your deadline moved a quarter closer. The hand that gave you the tax cut is the same hand that moved up the date of your biggest cut. Those two pieces are wired together on purpose. This is the channel's whole point in one example. The trap is not a glitch. It is built into the structure. The trust fund, the payroll math, the tax law, all working exactly as written. And the same code that builds the trap leaves you one legal lever, but only if you pull it before the trigger date. The trigger date is 2032. The lever is what you do with the 6 years in front of it. So what do you actually do when the cut is coming and you personally cannot stop it? You use the one feature of this trap that works in your favor. It is scheduled. You have been handed a date 6 years out, which means you have 6 years the people who get blindsided in 2032 will not have. The move is not a form that exempts you. There is no such form. The move is to make your retirement depend less on the check that is getting cut, while you still have time to build the alternative. For most people watching this, the cleanest way to do that lives in a traditional IRA or a 401k you have not touched. There is a trap inside the trap here. If your retirement income is mostly your Social Security check plus withdrawals from a traditional account, then a 22% cut to the check hits you at the exact moment you can least absorb it, and the traditional account gets taxed as ordinary income on top. Moving some of that traditional money into a Roth, a portion each year between now and 2032, changes that picture. Money inside a Roth comes out tax-free. It is not counted as income, so it does not push up your Medicare premium, and it is a pool of retirement income the 2032 cut cannot reach, because it has nothing to do with Social Security. Now the obvious objection, and it is a fair one. If you cannot stop the cut, how does this help? It does not protect the check. It protects you. When the check drops $400 a month, the person who spent the 6 years building tax-free income has a cushion to land on. The person who did nothing has a $400 hole and no plan. Same cut, two completely different retirements. Here is what that can look like with real numbers. Say you have $300,000 in a traditional IRA. Working with a planner, you might convert $30,000 or $40,000 a year over the next 6 years, paying the tax on each slice as you go, so that by 2032, a large share of that account sits in a Roth instead. When the Social Security cut lands, that Roth money is yours to draw, tax-free, with no effect on your Medicare premium. You did not stop the cut. You built a floor under it. You might be thinking you are already retired, already drawing, and this window does not apply to you. It still can. If you are 70 or 72 and you hold a traditional account, you can still convert in the years you have before 2032. And the closer the cut gets, the more a tax-free cushion is worth. The only people the window has truly closed on are the ones with nothing to convert. Even they have a move, and I will come to it in a moment. The action named exactly. Sit down with a CPA or a fee-only financial planner, the kind you pay a flat fee, not someone selling you a product, and have them model how much to convert each year. The amount matters, because converting too much in 1 year can push you over an income line and raise your own Medicare premium through the IRMA surcharge. A good planner threads that needle, and the deadline is real. A conversion for this year has to be done by December 31st. Each year is its own decision, and the whole runway closes in 2032. One more thing, because the cut lands differently depending on where you live. The 22% is federal. It is the same in all 50 states. But if your state also taxes your Social Security, that cut stings twice. In Texas and Florida, there is no state income tax, so the federal cut is the whole story. In a state like Minnesota, higher income couples do pay state tax on part of their benefits, which means less of every remaining dollar stays with you. To find out where you stand, search your state's name and Social Security income tax 2026, or call your state revenue office. If your state taxes the benefit, The 2032 cut costs you even more than the federal math shows. Let me show you how this lands on a real kitchen table. Beverly Patton is 69, lives outside a small town in Texas, and taught third grade for 26 years at the same school. She did everything right. She paid the house off early, sometime in 2017 or 2018. She is not sure which anymore and cannot find the letter. She never carried a balance. She paid into the teacher pension her whole career. Her income now is a $1,900 Social Security check and a small pension. She does not have an IRA. The teacher system was her savings. A few weeks ago, her daughter Michelle, who is 44, read about the trustees' report and called her. Mom, she asked, does this affect you? It does. If 2032 arrives with no fix, Beverly's check drops by $418 a month, down to about $1,482. Over the years she is likely to live. That is more than $65,000 she planned on and will not get. And Beverly's story has a cruel turn. The 6-year move I just described is not available to her because she has no traditional account to convert. She did everything right, and she has the least room to maneuver. But Michelle does. Michelle has a 401k she has barely thought about and 20 years of runway. The window that closed on Beverly is wide open for her daughter. That phone call, the one that started with "Does this affect you?" was the most valuable thing that happened in that family all year, because it reached the person who still has time. So here is everything in one place. Your check is already quietly losing ground, because this year's 2.8% raise did not keep up with your real costs. Watch that gap, and do not assume the raise made you whole. The bigger threat is the date, the fourth quarter of 2032, when the trust fund empties and the law cuts every check by 22%. Know that date and plan around it. Do not wait to be notified, because you will not be. The reason it moved closer is the 2025 tax break on benefits, which felt like a gift and pulled your deadline in. And the one move you can make is the 6-year window. If you have a traditional IRA or a 401k, talk to a fee-only planner about converting some of it to a Roth before each December 31st. So when the cut comes, you have income it cannot touch. If you have nothing to convert, the lesson is the phone call. Make sure the people in your life who still have the window know the date. None of this comes with a warning letter. The cut is already written into the law, and the only thing standing between you and a $400 hole in 2032 is what you build in the 6 years before it. Subscribe so you catch the next change before the deadline does, and share this with someone on Social Security or with an IRA they have been leaving untouched, because the window only helps the people who know it.